This morning I heard the sad news that a very old friend of mine had passed away. Peter Haynes was my chaplain when I was in college, and I remember my freshman roommate, his uncle was an Episcopal priest and just kept saying, "You've got to meet Peter Haynes, you've got to meet Peter Haynes." And so finally I did, and he made all the difference when I was a young person. Peter was ordained during the 1960s in Northern California. When he was ordained, he was wearing tie-dyed vestments. He had hair grown out to here and a big beard. And his first ministry in the church was at the Berkeley Free Church. And their idea was they just didn't want any kind of barrier to separate anybody from the love of God. And so he would walk around the people who were living out in the streets, the hippies who were there, and he would tell them about the love of Jesus. And that was the ministry that he did for years when he was first ordained. By the time I came along, he looked much more conservative. He was an intellectual. He was a student of sociology, very interested in the social sciences. And when I was a student, I just remember so well just the gentleness, the gracefulness. It really helped build my faith at a moment that was crucially important for me in my development as an adult. He was there for me, and I wish that all young people had people like Peter Haynes to help them on their way and to navigate adulthood. I remember when my girlfriend and I broke up, I was sad, and I went to him and he said, "You know, Malcolm, every single person will get you to another place in your life. You can't imagine loving the next person even more, but in my case, that's been true, and for you too, you might love someone so much more than the love that you've experienced with this other person." And he was totally right. And I brought that girl, the new girl that I met, to his church, and it was her first experience at the Episcopal Church. And there he was, just like Peter in all his glory. So her first experience of an Episcopal church was at Easter in his church in Southern California. And I remember Peter's wife, Frances, would give my future wife, Heidi, instructions about how to be a clergy spouse. It was hilarious. The first time they met, each time they meet, she'd give them another piece of advice. The first piece of advice was to the clergy spouse: never sit in the same place twice. And it's not just that they can take attendance on you if they know where you sit. It's also that people tend to think that you favor the people that you sit with more than the other people in the congregation. You really need to be careful about that. She also taught Heidi, never convey messages. Always let the person be the one to tell that message to your spouse themselves. Really, really good advice that helped my wife be able to imagine being married to a clergy person. That's a hard leap, and Frances definitely helped us with that. And over the years, even when I became Dean of Grace Cathedral, Peter got in the car that morning, drove all the way up here. All he did was shake my hand, and then that was it. He went and drove all the way back. He was always there for me at every single moment. He loved Cal Berkeley with all his heart. He just loved the going to the football games there. And even this last year when I was having a hard time, he and Frances got us some tickets, so like season tickets basically, to see plays all through the fall last year. It was like the most wonderful and thoughtful gift. I pray that you have someone out there in your life who's like a Peter Haynes, someone who's nurturing you, caring for you, helping you to grow in faith, letting you know that God loves you. When I talked to Frances this week, or just a few hours ago, Frances said, I know that Peter is with God. And anybody who has that spirit with them, you have that confidence that they're in the love of God right now. My name is Malcolm Clemens Young. I'm the Dean of Grace Cathedral here in San Francisco, California. Thanks for watching. More good news.